tropical storm Fiona has formed in the Atlantic and is now targeting parts of the Caribbean. Fiona is the sixth named storm of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, according to the National Hurricane Center. The storm was about 625 miles east of the Leeward Islands as it strengthened from a tropical depression on Wednesday. Winds around the center of Fiona are roughly 50 miles per hour with even higher gusts. Our One Caribbean News weather team will keep you up to date on what you need to know, regarding Fiona, both on air and online. And switching gears now, Queen Elizabeth II now lies in state inside Westminster Abbey until her funeral on Monday. Crowds continue to pass by her coffin to pay their final respects. Hundreds of thousands are expected to pay their respects to the Queen, who sat on the throne for 70 years. Some estimates say the line to see the Queen could end up stretching for 10 miles. Again, the Queen's coffin will remain inside Westminster Hall until her official funeral next Monday. Well, meantime, Belize's National Day celebrations were overshadowed by the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II. Revelers taking part in the George's K Day parade on Saturday couldn't help but think about the monarch and her legacy. Speaking as he celebrated, Bank Managing Director Stephen Duncan said maybe it was time for Belize to look forward as where we go from here. The Queen's passing really hit a retired factory worker by the name of Meredith Morris hard, bringing back memories of when she was a Girl Scout in her teenage years. After she helped save someone's life, she received a letter from the monarch, a momentous event which she celebrated with a special cake. Meantime, social media influencer Elijah Cattle said he respected the Queen but felt it was time to discuss how to move on from the country's colonial past. Belize became independent from the UK in 1981 but remains part of the Commonwealth of Nations, with King Charles III now its new monarch.
Well, you definitely feel it because she's the head of state and she does play a role in us being Belize and all of that. But I think that there is a little bit of discourse about it because some people do feel upset about the whole monarchy and the colonialization and what that means for Belize.
I also don't believe that we should move away from England on a whole, I don't think we need to become independent because I really don't want our bird to be $175 like Jamaican one. So I really think we should just leave the Queen's face on our money.
And switching gears now, New York Governor Kathy Hochul recently established a Caribbean trade office to strengthen economic ties with New York State businesses. Our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein spoke to Empire State Development about what kind of new economic opportunities the new trade office will bring for both New York and Caribbean businesses.
Last week, Governor Kathy Hochul took steps to expand trade for New York State businesses in the Caribbean. The new Foreign Office will help New York State companies with international sales and exporting their products and services to the Caribbean region.
It will be shall we say, a win-win in every aspect of this.
The office will be established through the Empire State Development Global New York Division. Global New York's main responsibility will be to assist New York State businesses with the exportation of their products and services. They will provide them with technical assistance through the programs they have, and in many cases give them grants to help them access these new markets. Governor Hochul said that taking this step to expand trade in the Caribbean is important and that this new office will help New York companies broaden and develop new partnerships. According to the U.S. International Trade Administration, companies that export grow faster on average than companies that don't export. They're also less likely to go out of business. Ruiz added that in today's time, companies will also be able to better withstand the fluctuation of the economy. New York State has a long history of international trade, and this new office will help grow the number of New York State companies that are exporting as well as the markets to which they are selling, which ultimately, Ruiz said, will grow business and provide more job opportunities for the local communities.
This helps not only New York State's economy, but the U.S. economy at large.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WENY News.
All right, thanks so much, Elise. Well, meantime, in Puerto Rico, Governor Pedro Pierluisi is giving incentives to fishermen in Ceiba. The aid granted to workers in the fishing industry amounts to $2.9 million. Our Francis Felix reports.
About 500 fishermen receive an economic incentive of over $2,000 from federal funds as part of an effort to reactivate the fishing industry in the island. Governor Pedro Pierluisi and Secretary of Agriculture Ramon Gonzalez went to Ceiba to deliver the aids and to inaugurate the facilities of the recently remodeled Villa Pesquera Los Machos. To establish the scales of the economic incentive, the number of times the fishermen went fishing was taken into consideration. The fishing village, whose remodeling work cost $124,018, will be in charge of the municipality of Ceiba for the next 15 years, after the executive approved its transfer. The repairs affected the ceilings and walls of the structure, the replacement of doors, windows, fences, and lighting, as well as the paint and others. The challenges that our fishermen have had to face have been great. This is why we set out to identify the necessary aid to achieve the growth of the fishing industry, both in production and in better working conditions, the governor said. La Fortaleza explained that the incentive for fishermen comes from federal aid granted by the NOAA with the intention that fishermen serve their communities and have better working conditions. Regarding the fishing village on the island, Pierluisi assured that there are 3 others that are also being remodeled, the structures in San Juan, Mayagüez, and in Guayama. Reporting from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Frances Felix.
All right, thank you so much for that report, Francis. Meantime, the government of Grenada says it is moving to increase the retirement age from 60 to 65 years old. This, authorities say, is necessary as they aim to help sustain the national insurance scheme. The island's Prime Minister, Dickon Mitchell, announced the NIS is to undergo significant legislative changes as part of measures aimed at preventing it from becoming bankrupt in the next decade. He says his government intends to act quickly to ensure that the funds are put on a sustainable path. The NIS is equivalent to what is preferred, or referred, I should say, to in other countries as Social Security. And Philip Telsford, who is the minister responsible for the NIS, said that the NIS board has made numerous submissions to the previous administration for certain interventions and certain actions by the way of legislative changes. He says these legislative changes are needed to secure pension payment for the population, adding that the current situation is one where the inflow for payment of NIS dues is less and benefits paid out.
Notwithstanding that we have a very youthful population, we are still at the stage paying out more than we collect. So every year, NIS has to be breaking deposits to facilitate the payment of pensions to retirees. That is unsustainable. As a matter of fact, if the NIS were to continue like this, within the next 10 years or so, there will be no NIS. We have looked at information from throughout the region, and we recognize that Grenada is behind when it comes to legislative changes to the scheme. Grenada needs to do what is necessary at this stage to shift the retirement age gradually from age 60 to 65.